महावरण्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जयतां सुरतोपाङ्गोर् मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वः परम्भोजो राधा मदनमोहनो गिरिवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमः श्रीमद्रत्नागर सिंहासनस्थो श्री राधा शिरोगोविन्ददेवो विस्तारिभिः सेवनो स्मरामि। श्रीमन् रासरसारम्भी वंशिवा ततरस्थिरः कर्षन् वेणुस्वरा गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुनः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्ति परिदेवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः। पाञ्चतत्त्वं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्तभ्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Page 26. Javanala samo samsara johare jagajiva kulaya dharakarane karunavarido kripavarigane gunasindhu guru charana kamara Rijagita vajo shihari kirtane rohe namagana mahamatra mane romanshakam pashru hoya gaura preme bande se guru charana kamala sararataji vigraha se bane shingara diyaro madhira marjane Korinani yukta anugaga jane vande se guru charana kamala charchushaleya heyara samaya prasarana krishna rati swarubhaya bhaktaya swadane nijatre praraya vande se guru charana kamala Shri Radha Madhava Namarupa Gune Ananta Madhurya Linaya Swadane Rudra Chita Jini Hona Pratikshane Vande Se Guru Charana Kamala Braja Juvadvanda Rati Samvardhane Jukti Kore Soti Gane Vrindavane Aji Rakshata He Priyatama Gane Vande Se Guru Charana Kamala Sara Shastre Gai Shri Hari Swarupa Bhaktagana Bhave Shayanurupa Hijujini Prabhu Priyatama Rupa Vande Se Guru Charana Kamala Jahara Prasade Krishna Kripa Pai Jara Prasade Anagati Nai Trisanja Kirtiro Stavadhani Bhai Vande Se Guru Charana Guru Devashtaka Ati Jana Kori Brahmo Muhurte Pore Uja Kori Vrindavano Nato Sakshat Shri Hari Seva Paya Se Vasu Siddhi Kale Vande Se Guru Charana Kamala Vande Se Guru Charana Kamala Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Prabhupada Krishna hoite chaturmukha hoya Krishna sevamukha Brahma hoite Naroderamati Narada hoite Vyasa Madhva kohe Vyasa Dasa Puna pragya padmana bhagati Rihari Madhava Vamshe Akshurya Paramamshe Shisha Bori Angikara Kore Akshobhya Shishya Jayo Kirtaname Porichayo Haradasya Ghana Sindhu Chore Taha hoite doyaniki, Jaradasa vidyadiki, Rajendra hoiro taha hote, Tahara kinkaro jayo, Harmaname porichayo, Parampara jano balomate, Jaya dharma dhase kyaji Shri Guru Shottama jaji Kahoite brahmanya tirja suri Vyasa tirtha tharo daso Lakshmi pati vyasa daso Kahoite madhavendra puri Madhavendra Puri Vara Shisha Vara Shri Vishwara Nityananda Shri Advaita Devu Unike Dhanya Kori Nena Shri Chaitanya Jagadguru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahaya Rupa Nuga Jane Radhivana Vishwambara Priyam Bhara Shri Sarupa Namadara Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatha Dada Priya Kavi Krishna Daso Krishna Rasa Priya Bharan Narada Seva Bharan Jara Paravishwanatha Aso Vishwanatha Bhakta Satra Mahareva Jaganatha Nara Priya Shri Bhakti Vinoda Mahabhagavata Vara Shri Gaura Krishna Vara Hari Bhajane Jara Moda Shivad Shavanari Vara Sara Seva Seva Vara Jahara Rohita Rasanama Prabhu Bhave Angalamga Shri Sarupa Rupa Rupa Shri Keshava Bhagati Prajnana Oriya Vedanga Tamara Tamahanta Golami Prajara Jardhama Prachariro Gauravali Bhakti Vedanta Swami Purairo Prabhupada Gama Krishapriya Mahajana Brahmana Narayana Gaurvani Tane Pranadhana Krishna Harijan Gaurake Nijajan Anjalanu Chishta Monakama Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara 36 Vrindavana vasi tato Vaishnavera gana Pratame bandana kori Sabara charana Nilachara vasi tato Mahaprabhu gana Bhumite pariya bandhu Sabara charana Navadvipavasi jato Maha apranati. Jai Shri Vaise Gaurangera Gana Urvabahu Khori Bandhu Sabara Charana Hoyachena Hoyivena Rabu Jadodaso Sabara Charana Bandhu Dante Kori Ghaso Pramanda Jai Hare Jai Jai Evena Purane Guna Gaya Jai Shune Mahaprabhu Dana Sabha Pakita Pavan Ailote Mui Papi Noi Nusharam Vandana Kori Jai Kada Shakti Hori Amu Huri Doshe Huri Amamatra Hori Tathapi Nuber Bhagyavan Raulas Dosham Shame Gaur Bhame Korami Jajas Saravanta Sri Hoi Amavanta Chute Jagat Jai Gulama Hoya Premadhana Dute Rame Rama Sana Hona Ochirate Hoi Devaki Nandana Rasa Eno Pego Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur
200.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhadara Gunana Shri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasara Gunata Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedaya Kori Swaparshara Sriya Dhama Saha Avatari Ajanta Dulabha Prema Harivare Jana Shikaya Sharanagati Akatera Prana Danyatma Nivedana Dodre Devarana Avashara Shive Krishna Vishvasa Palana Bhakti Anukula Haryara Sikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vajanangikara Charanga Sharanagati Hoire Jahano Ahara Pratana Shune Vinana Kumara Rupa Sanatana Pare Chandetriya Kori Bhagati Vinora Pare Juhu Para Dhori Kandiya Kandiya Bode Ame Javadhama Shitaye Shodanagati Adohe Ushara Swaparshana Jaya Gaura Hari Swaparshana Jaya Gaura Hari Swaparshana Gaura Hari It's on?
Something for inside or recording's on? Recording's on, or do you turn it off for information? Yeah. Did it? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Going to die. You want to sing something for me? We're going to die.
All I ever did was watch Guru do it. This is what he does it, except in reverse.
Are you going on the altar? Yes. Can you fix his turban?
That's what I'm.
As long as he's bothering.
I mean, it's already on, right? I mean, it looks like he went to the
He's over his
international too.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's on my hand, it's not, we're right. Looks right.
Parama Karuna, page 84.
Thanks.
Parama Karuna Pahutu Ijano Nitai Gaura Chanda Sabaya Bhatta Sarashiyomani Kevala Ananda Kando Parama Karuna Pahutu Ijano Nitai Gaura Chanda Sabaya Bhatta Sarashiyomani Kevala Ananda Kanda Kevala Ananda Kanda Kevala Ananda Kanda Nitai Gaura Chandra Kevala Ananda Kanda Kevala Ananda Kanda Nitai Gaura Chandra Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrira Vishwasa Kori Deshaya Chariya Serose Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrira Vishwasa Kori Deshaya Chariya Serose Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. Other side. Okay, bolo hari hari, okay, bolo hari hari. Okay, bolo hari hari, okay, bolo hari hari. Sudhira Vishwasa Dekho ore bhai, Tribhuvane nai, Emana Jayala Gatha, Ashubhaki Chure, Bhashana Vidare, Shunidana Gunagata, Ashubhaki Chure, Bhashana Vidare, Jayala Gatha, Ashubhaki Chure, Bhashana Vidare, Shunijana Gunagata, Shunijana Gunagata, Emara Joyala Jato, Sansare Majia Rohini Poriya Se Pore Nohira Asha Apana Karama Bhunshaye Shamana Sahe Lochana Daso karuna bahudujana nitai gaura chanda sabaya mata sarashiromani kevala ananda khanda bharana karuna bahudujana nitai gaura chanda sabaya mata sarashiromani kevala ananda khanda jaya nitai Shri Krishna Kirtane Jadi Manasa Chauhara Arama Jatale Tahi Lava Adhikara Srinadi Kahina Dina Akinchana Tara Apane Manako Sada Chadi Ahangara Samakshamaduna Arodhi Sadhana Pratihimsa Chachi Ange Karodhi Pavana Jivana nirvahe ane udvegana jive Arayupakhare nija sukha asare Om Sarva Gune Hari Karo Amani Hridaya. Krishna Adhisthana Sarva Jive Jani Sada. Karo Visamana Sabe Adore Sarvada. Danya Goya Anya Mano Pratishta Vajana. Chari Gune Guni Hoy Hara Ho Kirtana. Akati Vinoda Kari Bolo Prabhupada. Eno Adhikara Abe Jive Amaya. Krishna Krishna Hari Manasa Chohana. Aramajathane Hari Labha Adhikara. Jaya Hari Rama Jaya Hari Rama Jaya Hari Rama Jaya Hari Rama. Jaya Bhakti Vino Jaya Bhakti Vino Bhakti Vino Jaya Bhakti Vino.
That is an important instruction like that. If you wish to engage your mind in the performance of Shri Krishna Kirtan, then you must very carefully earn the required spiritual qualification.
What happened?
If you wish to engage your mind, is the other mic out there? You don't see it? Where's the yellow mic? Anyone see it? Hello, yellow mic.
Oh, it's on the stand.
It's not on the stand?
It's on that stand. Where?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Where?
It's orange.
The stand behind you, Champa. Orange.
Oh, here.
Orange.
If you wish to engage your mind in the performance of Sri Krishna Kirtan, then you must very carefully earn the required spiritual qualification.
Where's that?
That was the first one.
Relinquishing your false pride. Always consider yourself more lowly and insignificant than a blade of grass, destitute and worthless.
There you go.
Cultivate forbearance like that of a tree, forsaking retaliation, nurture and support others.
In the course of leading your life, do not give anxiety to anyone else. For the benefit of others, forget your own comforts.
Even if you are a great soul endowed with all good qualities, relinquish the desire for honor and make your heart humble.
This is higher than becoming a gopi. Knowing Sri Krishna to be situated within all living beings, always respect and show affection to all.
Endowed with the four qualities of humility, compassion, respect and modesty, perform kirtan of the Lord.
Bhakti Vinod, weeping at the feet of the Lord, asks, Oh, when will you give me such qualification?
When or when?
When you want it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we're going to do Radha Vinodi Tatvashtam.
Yeah.
Radha Vinodi Hari Tatvashtam.
What page?
272.
272.
We're doing it together or what? Radha Chintani Veshena Yasya Kanti Vilopita Shri Krishna Sharanam Vande Radha Gita Vigraham Sevya Sevaka Samloge Vayodhena Tudobame Devarambe Tu Sarvasya Veda Sada Vivarjate Shelidami Tunam Tattvam Veda Vedam Achinchakam Shakti Shakti Matorakyam Yuga Padvartate Sada Natham Lekam Param Vijalilaya Kadvidhastitam Gaura Krishna Swayam Yetat Rupa Rupaya Madnota Sare Vanaya Tasvista Gaura Kanti Vikashate Sarva Vamena Hinastu Sarva Vana Prakashate Saguna Nirgunam Tatam Ekam Deva Dvitiyakam Sarvanitya Gunarguna Krishna Rasastu Nirguna Shri Krishna Mitunam Tamam Sakhatu Nirgunam Vitat Upasate Vishadhya Yatha Tushavakatina Trivino Vivihari Yoradhaya Mili Asmati Prasarata Iti Tadrashtakam Nityam Yapatechadhayam Vita Krishna Tattvam Adhikyaya Gaura Pade Bhavendati Veshenaya Syakanti Vilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radharani Vigraham Jayo Radha Vinodi Hari Radha Vinodi Hari Radhe Jaya Radha Vinodi
Haribo. It's not
That's not so
working.
good, yeah.
What's wrong with that?
It doesn't work very. Here we
No, it
go.
sounds
For that
fine.
one.
It's on and off.
Give her
It's
that
on and
one.
off. Maybe I should change the frequency or something. Wireless.
Okay.
Give her that
English.
English. I worship the lotus feet of that form of Sri Krishna who, by being absorbed in anxious thought of Srimati Radharani, has assumed her golden feature. Sri Krishna's immersion in separation from Srimati Radhika, who is in Mam, jealous anger, intensifies to such a point that he assumes her golden complexion. Alternately, Radhalingita means he finally embraces Srimati Radhika after her man is broken.
When the supreme object of loving service and the
Mike,
supreme
so you can hear
loving
me.
servant merge in absolute love, how can any distinction be made between them? But when they are separated, all of their distinctions are continuously amplified.
It works, you just have to...
Sri Krishna is Sevya, the supreme object of service, and Bhokta, the supreme transcendental enjoyer. And Srimati Radhika is Sevak, the supreme servant, and Bhogya, the supreme transcendental object of his enjoyment. In Sambhog, transcendental union, they are abhay, non-different. However, in Vipralamba, transcendental separation, the abhay or duality in the form of unique qualities is amplified more and more.
The divine couple who eternally engage in transcendental pastimes comprise an existential reality that is inconceivably differentiated and non-differentiated. For the supreme potency and supreme possessor potency are always one with each other. Paratattva, supreme existential reality, is never without his energy, Shakti. When Shakti, potency, and Shaktiman, the supreme source of all potency, have a single form, then Gauda Tattva, the reality of Sri Gaurachandra, is manifest. And when they are in two separate bodies, Lila Purushottama Sri Krishna enjoys unlimited transcendental pastimes with Srimati Radhika.
One should know that the absolute truth, which is one without a second, has divided his pastimes into two parts. Gauda is Krishna and Krishna is Gauda. Hence both of them are factually the original form of Godhead. Although the Supreme Absolute Truth is one, he has two sets of pastimes. In one he is Shyamasundar Shri Krishna, and in the other he is Shri Gaurasundar. Shyamasundar is Gaurasundara, and Gaurasundar is Shyamasundar. Thus both of them are in fact Swayam Bhagavan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all other forms of God are manifest.
Wherever all colors exist simultaneously, a golden hue is manifest. However, in the absence of all color, a black hue is manifest. According to natural science, when the entire visible light spectrum is present in naturally occurring proportions, as in the sun, a golden hue is manifest. In Sanskrit, this is called Gora Kanti. On the other hand, when all visible light is absent, a black hue is manifest. This is called Shama Kanti.
The Supreme Absolute Truth, which is one without a second, is both replete with qualities and devoid of qualities. All transcendental qualities are eternally manifest in Sri Gauda, and the totality of transcendental humours, completely devoid of any mundane qualities, is manifest in Sri Krishna. The word Varna, complexion, in the previous verse, and the word Guna, quality, in this verse, establishes Sri Gauda Tattva to be as worshipful as Sri Krishna Tattva. The Supreme Absolute Truth is both Saguna, or possessed of all transcendental qualities, and Nirguna, or devoid of all material qualities.
Those who give up this twofold form of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Absolute, and worship the undifferentiated, all-pervading, impersonal existence, are, quote-unquote, intelligently looking for rice in empty husks. Although someone may be learned in all scriptures, his endeavors to obtain mukti and personal liberation by worshipping the impersonal Brahma, will only amount to fruitless labor. In other words, such a person is not intelligent at all.
By the mercy of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, I worship Sri Vinod Vihari and Srimati Radhika as they meet with one another. By the mercy of Sri Guru, I am granted darshan, transcendental vision of the fine couple, Sri Radha Vinod Vihari, at the time of their transcendental meeting. Whoever recites this Ashtakam every day with great faith will fully comprehend Krishna Tattva and become immersed in meditation on the lotus feet of Sri Gaurasundara.
Sri Radha Vinod Bihari Ji Ki Jai.
There's a lot in there. In that one.
Srila Param Gurudeva Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Close-up comment. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadavaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. Yam Pravrajantaman Petamapeta Kritam Dvaipayano Viraka Tarvajuhala Putre Chitanmataya Tarvo Venedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Manimanatosmi Bhaktya Vinina Aparada Lakshay Chirtasya Kamari Tarangamali Kripamaitam Sharanam Prapadyam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavaivasmi Najivami Tamina Iti Om Vishnupad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, also to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vedant Vaman Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Dwait Madhav Goswami Maharaj, and our Param Gurudev, whose birthday is today, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and also Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and to all the assembled devotees. Today, as you know, is a most auspicious day, the birthday of our Param Gurudev, Srila Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Bhakti Pragyan, Pragyan. Gyan means knowledge, and pra means prakista rupena udayat, means he arises in our heart all kinds of knowledge. Jiva Tattva, knowledge of who we are. Maya Tattva, what is this world, why we're here and how to get out. Bhakti Tattva, the nature of devotion. Krishna Tattva, the Supreme Lord, fundamental principles of. Radha Tattva, Prem Tattva, the fundamental principles of love of God. So he gives all kinds. Bhakti Pragyan, and all kinds of bhakti, up to being able to touch Madanakya Mahabhav, the highest love that only resides in Sri Radha, in the form of her maidservant, and also discussions with him and about him that were previously published in the Bhagavad Patrika magazine. And also we'll be hearing from Srila Gurudev's lecture called He Kept His Life in His Hands. And we'll be reading from Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj's book called My Beloved Masters, where he glorifies all the associates of all the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who he had the opportunity to serve, including our Param Gurudev. So we'll begin with Srila Gurudev's lecture. He gave this lecture on February 9th, 2004. Today is the birthday of my spiritual master. I've seen with my own eyes how he used to observe Vyasa Puja. Vyasa Puja means the glorification of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, who manifested all of the Vedic literatures. So I saw how he observed this day by offering respects to all other Vaishnavas, both senior and junior. The backbone of bhakti, welcome. The backbone of bhakti is Gurunistha, strong faith in the spiritual master. And those who have no Gurunistha can never develop in their Krishna consciousness. So we have seen his Gurunistha. He wanted to glorify his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But whenever he would start talking about him, he couldn't even complete the word Prabhupada. He would say Prab, and then he would burst out weeping, and then he would point and indicate for me, meaning Gurudev, he's giving this lecture, or another devotee, to speak about Srila Prabhupada's glories, or Trivikram Maharaj, or Srila Vaman Maharaj. This is also the day in which we glorify Krishna. How is that? It is the glorification of his associates, the gopis, and especially Radhika. This is also the way, not the day. If one glorifies Radhika, then Krishna is automatically glorified. Similarly, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, if he's glorified, then the glory of our Gurudev is also there. It is bound to come. It may be that the liberated Guru is not liberated in the eyes of his godbrothers, but in the eyes of the disciple, he is the direct representative of Krishna himself. The disciple will always have strong faith that my Gurudev is a special representation or manifestation of Krishna. And this tattva, this siddhanta, this conclusive truth is explained in all the Shastras, including Chaitanya Charitamrita. I have heard all this from him. What is the symptom of a person who has Guru Nistha? He'll even show respect to the dog who is related to his Guru. If he does not give proper respect to everyone related to his Guru, whether he's initiated or not, and he doesn't show honor for them, then his honor for his Gurudev is actually false. He doesn't have real honor. He doesn't have real Guru Nistha, because it's the desire of Guru that the disciple offer respects to everyone related to Guru. So always have this kind of nistha towards your spiritual Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. Then he explained, sometimes we even used to quarrel with our Gurudev for his service. This is a symptom of Guru Nistha. And another symptom is always offering respect to superiors, especially to godbrothers. Nowadays, I see that godbrothers quarrel with each other. They do not want to be together to glorify their Guru. Used to observe his birthday, his Vyasa Puja ceremony, according to the book that was discovered by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, which describes the worshipping of 7 panchakas, or 7 sets of 5. Like the Panchatattva is 5, Radha Krishna, Gaura Gadadhar, and Gurudev is another 5. The 4 sampradayas and Sukadeva Goswami, the 4 sampradaya acharyas and Sukadeva Goswami are another set of 5. So there are 7 sets of 5. Also Guru, Param Guru, Paratpara Guru, Paramesti Gurudev, Paramesti Gurudev, 5 up. That's another 5. So it's not that he wanted that a bona fide Guru, he doesn't observe his birthday by, yes, everybody make a big book for me. Rather, he takes his disciples along with him to worship the whole Guru Parampara. This is actually Vyasa Puja. So Gurudev said we should have regard for all the acharyas and the 4 sampradayas, just like in the last week we glorified Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya on their disappearance days. Also Vishnu Swami, Nimbaditya, the 4 Kumaras. We should have regard for the Panchatattva, especially Gaur Gadadhar, Shri Radha and Krishna and Gurudev, that's the other 5. Try to follow all these details of worship. Will you be doing that today?
No, we don't do today.
Not today, but you did it when?
On Gurudevs.
You did it on Gurudevs, on your own Gurudevs. Then he's again quoting his Guru Maharaj, our Param Gurudev. Gurudev used to say, on my birthday, I should give proper honor to all Guru Parampara Acharyas, Godbrothers, and senior Vaishnavas. And then Gurudev says about himself, what I am and what I am preaching is not coming from me. It is not that I'm so intelligent and that I'm preaching. The credit belongs to my Gurudev. By his mercy, I know the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa and Sanatan, Rupa Raghunath, and all the other Guru Parampara Acharyas. I was sinking in the well of worldly activities and material existence, and he took me by the sika and dragged me, and he mercifully engaged me in service fully, not partly. Sometimes desires outside the realm of pure devotion came in my mind, and I asked him, how can I be saved? And he answered, don't worry, I will save you. If one is sincere, Guru and Krishna mercifully save him. So don't worry. Then Srila Gurudev tells some histories of how he used to fight for the honor and integrity of his Gurudev, that is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Once, a person tried to defame Srila Prabhupada by writing, oh, he is just a Tattvajnani. He just knows some philosophy. But there's no ras in him. He's not a rasic Vaishnava. He's just like someone who doesn't know the taste of the mango and he's just sucking on the skin or on the pit of the mango. He doesn't know the taste of the juicy mango. So, what happened was, when Param Gurudev heard about that, did he tell what happened? He said, it says see in note 2, so let's go there. Because sometimes it was just easier. It was just easier because it took a while to edit Gurudev's lectures, because his English was Hindi/English. So then sometimes we would substitute his words in his lecture for something that he had already written in Hindi and that was translated into perfect English. Because his Hindi is perfect. On another occasion, members of the Sahajiya Sampradaya of Bengal wrote essays full of apasiddhanta, means false, bogus, so-called philosophy, opposing Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. Srila Gurudev argued with them in a similar way, using abrasive words. The opposition party actually presented a lawsuit in court against Srila Gurudev and the other devotees, including the editor of Sri Gaudiya Patrika. However, when they were faced with Gurudev's train of thought, they also had to bow their heads in defeat. They begged him for forgiveness in the court of law and thereafter avoided him. For these reasons, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, who was Srila Gurudev's dear godbrother and a leader of the Gaudiya community, decorated Param Gurudev with the title Pasanda Gajayika Singha. Can you all say that? Pasanda Gajayika Singha. Pasanda Gajayika Singha. That's one title of our Param Gurudev, which means the lion who vanquishes the elephants of heresy. Pasanda Bajayika Singha. Gajayika Singha.
What language is that?
It's Sanskrit.
Oh, it is. That's
Sometime in 1956, Srila Gurudev came to Mathura, or so-called spiritual journal, called Sri Sudarshan. In one issue, they cast aspersions, means they said bad things about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying that he was a disciple of Keshava Kashmiri. Keshava Kashmiri is a Mayavad sannyas who externally gave Mahaprabhu sannyas. But what happened was, Keshava Kashmiri.
He was a Digvijay Pandit.
Yeah, you're right. I got it mixed up with
Keshava Bharati.
Keshava Bharati. Thank you. So Indupati Prabhu, the great scholar here in Alachua, just corrected me. So he said that they said that Mahaprabhu is a disciple of Keshav Kashmiri, who's actually a wandering Digvijay scholar. Digvijay means he goes everywhere just to defeat them in logic. He goes to all the scholars all over the country. So he came to Navadvip and he tried to defeat Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu was a teacher and he was teaching his students. So this Digvijay came and wanted to show off. So he, like the wind, he wrote and he spoke 100 verses about glorifying the Ganges. So Mahaprabhu was hearing, and then Mahaprabhu said, okay, well, can you tell the good qualities and faults of verse such and such, like verse 55? He thought, what, how is he remembering any of those verses that I just said like the wind? And yes, there are good qualities, but there are no faults in that poetic verse that I just said. So Mahaprabhu told himself the qualities of the verse, and then he said, but there's a fault there. He used the word Bhavani Bharata, which means, because from Lord Shiva the Ganges River is coming down to this world. So he said Bhavani Bharata, which means the husband of Bhavani, who's the wife of Bhava, Lord Shiva, right? Bhavani is the wife of Lord Shiva, who's called Bhava. And then he addressed Lord Shiva as Bhavani Bharata, which means the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, which indicates that she probably has another husband. So Keshav Kashmiri felt so depressed and forlorn that he left and he prayed to his worshipful deity Saraswati, the goddess of learning, who's actually just a shadow of Srimati Radhika, who is Shuddha Saraswati, the supreme goddess of learning. And he said, what happened? And she said, why, how could I let you defeat my husband? He's my husband, he's the Supreme Lord. So it's better for you to go and surrender to him, which Keshava Kashmiri did. But these so-called followers of Nimbaditya said that Mahaprabhu was a disciple of him, which is exactly the opposite, because he surrendered to Mahaprabhu. And they wrote articles like that. In other editions, they insolently dare to claim that Gaudiya Vaishnavas, such as Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur, were in the Nimbarka Sampradaya. Can you imagine? So when I show these additions to Srila Gurudev, meaning our Param Gurudev, welcome Hare Krishna, he became extremely angry. So this is an example of Gurunistha, that if anybody tries to defame our Guru or Guru Parampara, then we don't just be humble as a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. We defend his honor. So he became extremely angry and immediately had a short essay written in the Bhagavad Patrika. The headline was, Sri Nimbaditya and Nimbarka are not the same person. And then he proved from scripture that there's nobody named Nimbarka, because they say they came from the Nimbarka Sampradaya, which is the Nimbaditya Sampradaya, but they didn't give any Siddhanta, they gave Siddhanta, which means false, bogus philosophy. And so that was the headline. And then the purport of the article said, nowhere in the scriptures is there any mention of an Nimbarka Sampradaya. The Puranas mention a Vaishnava Acharya called Sri Nimbaditya, and Chatu's son, the four Kumaras, have accepted the Nimbaditya Acharya Sampradaya, but there's no mention of Nimbarka Swami. He's a different person. He was a disciple of somebody named Naradaji, but not the Narada that we know, at the end of Dwarpa Yuga. Nimbaditya was a disciple of Narada. But this Nimbarkacharya, he appeared much more recently. Great and eminent authors of scripture, such as Jiva Goswami, have mentioned the names of prominent acharyas who were the head of different sampradayas, meaning lineages, Vaishnav lineages. But they have never mentioned the name of Nimbarka. And so he goes on to prove that they're wrong. Just beginning by saying there's no journal, which is the journal that published these aspersions or offenses. They announced that they were making arrangements to prosecute for slander. So Srila Gurudev firmly replied, I will prove each and every word that we have written on the basis of evidence supported by Shastra. When the prosecution party heard about Gurudev's immense scriptural knowledge and his profound personality, they became absolutely silent. And from that day onward, they did not dare to write any more nonsense. So do we remember his name? Pasanda Gajayika Singha. Singha means lion. Gaja means like the elephant. Gajayika, he destroys the elephant of heresy.
I think it might be Bengali.
And Pasanda,
It might be
Bengali? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So regarding the people who said that Prabhupada had no rasa in him, he was only a Tattvagani, Gurudev said, they were blind, they never actually saw him. But what his disciple, my Gurudev, preached to me and others, you can realize his position. He preached under the cover of Tattvagyan, speaking about Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He did not expose the confidential secrets of Krishna's pastimes and the philosophy behind them. He preached to qualified persons about the love of Radha and Krishna. But he kept these highest truths hidden from those who would simply criticize them. So he wrote against those persons, and for that reason they also filed a court case. They managed to get big qualified lawyers to plea that Guru Maharaj should be put in jail. But Guru Maharaj then engaged a lawyer from the High Court in Calcutta, and those persons were obliged to apologize. So he told so many ways how he exhibited his Guru Nistha. Param Gurudev exhibited his Guru Nistha. There was once a meeting of he and his godbrothers, and somebody brought up that there seems to be a slight difference between the commentaries of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the 5th verse of Upadeshamrit, which is one should mentally honor those who chant the name but aren't really initiated. One should serve those who are initiated, and one should surrender to those who are pure devotees and they have no vices, beginning with the vice of criticizing others. So there was a slight difference, apparently, a slight difference of opinion. So the God brothers were discussing, and they asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj to give his verdict, like which one should we accept. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj very justly glorified the logic, reasoning, and scriptural evidence for the commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he asked Param Gurudev to speak. And Param Gurudev glorified Srila Sridhar Maharaj for his appropriate glorification of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. Sorry, Vrindavan, there's so many new names. But you'll gradually get to know everybody. Yeah. Okay. He's an 8-year-old famous scholar, Vrindavan Das. And soon he's going to be a scholar in Sanskrit and Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy.
Yeah.
And preach it all over the world. Okay.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody gives their love to Vrindavan Das and tells them all kinds of philosophies and histories and pastimes whenever you are with him. And there he is, Vrindavan Das. Okay. So after Srila Param Gurudev glorified Srila Sridhar Maharaj's glorification of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary of Srila Rupa Goswami's verse, there we go with the disciplic succession right there, he said, at the same time, we all want to know that Srila Prabhupada, our immediate guru, because they were all godbrothers of him and all disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we have no knowledge of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada. Since he was very young, he used to hold Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books on his head and go with him to all the places where he preached. It's from him who we know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the whole disciplic succession. Nobody knows Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as well as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, our Gurudev. So he purposely chose to give a slightly different commentary. It wasn't by accident or by not knowing what his father and spiritual master's commentary was. He purposely decided to give a different commentary because he wanted to show the real meaning of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, that there was something deeper than just met the eye. Then Srila Bhakti Vigyan Paditi Goswami Maharaj. Would you like to read something, Basanti? Huh? From his letters? Like, I'm sorry? I was just going to do that. Did you want to do that? You can do it. Would you like to come here?
You can fill in, right? Things that I missed.
Gurudev once, he used to call on us all the time. So once after a bunch of us spoke, he said, I see so many defects whenever they speak. So go. Sandy's going to tell a history of one of the services that he did, Srila Bharati Maharaj did with Param Gurudev.
And you'll fill in the blanks. So, yes, it was
Anything else happened to him?
They didn't have the temple in Prabhupada's name.
They didn't have the temple in Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur's name. So,
They said that sannyas was not for the age of Kali.
alright, they said,
That's why they didn't wear sannyas robes.
so they didn't wear sannyas robe, they said sannyas is not for the age of Kali. So Param Gurudev, so Param Gurudev wanted to take them to court. So he had Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he got to do the seva for Param Gurudev. He considers Param Gurudev his Shiksha Guru. Param Gurudev would speak and Srila Bharati Maharaj would write exactly what he was saying for the courts. And then he would give it to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj to edit. And I personally heard Srila Bharati Maharaj say it would, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would only take him 15 minutes to edit it. And then they would bring it to the court. So when it was time for the court date, that group, they came doing Nagar Sankirtan with their sannyas robes and the proper cover, and they got to the court, and the court ruled in favor for them. So Param Gurudev...
He had just initiated 8 new sannyasis.
Oh, did he?
So Param Gurudev was so happy, and then Srila Bharati Maharaj said, well, we just did all this work to do this.
Wait a minute, what did the judge say?
The judge ruled in their favor because they fulfilled all the things that they went to court for.
What else did they do? They showed that, look, we have our temple in Prabhupada's name.
Oh yeah. So Srila Bharati Maharaj said to Param Gurudev, we just did all this work to take this court case, and now we lost. And Param Gurudev said, no, we won. They did everything that we asked for.
Yeah, our goal wasn't to throw them in jail, it was to get them to do what. And so in the fear, thank you, Visanti. Would you like to speak some more?
What?
Would you like to speak some more?
Would you tell the famous,
Hmm?
you want to tell the famous story of Supreme Court?
Of what?
Madhavi saving.
You want to?
Maybe Madhavi wants.
Madhavi, please come and tell us. Would you like to? Would you like to glorify your Param Gurudev too, Arjun, today? Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, so Madhavi and then Arjun will speak too. Would you like to say something? Okay. So let's get the TV on Madhavi. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshur-Umritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So today is the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Pradhan Keshav Goswami Maharaj and Param Gurudev. And actually, I'm glad that I got picked for this story because it's one of the ones that Gurudev would tell so many times, and so many of our Vaishnavas would tell, that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, Param Gurudev's guru, and Param Gurudev and Vaishnavas were traveling and preaching. And where was it? Navadvip. In Navadvip. And some of the Brahmins of that area, they became caste Brahmins. They're doing Navadvip Parikrama. And the caste Brahmins became upset by the Harikatha that was being told. It was mostly that they were making devotees out of non-Brahmins. They didn't follow the caste system. Oh, they didn't follow the caste system. They were initiating Brahmin initiation to become Brahmins even if they weren't born into the Brahmin caste. So it sort of like diminished in the eyes of the caste Brahmins. Like, you're diminishing our role and who we are and our greatness, our fame.
And our financial being.
And our financial our financial situation. So at that time, the crowd these caste Brahmins became very angry, and they became violent. And so quickly Param Gurudev brought... How violent did they come? Like, they were throwing rocks and stones and soda bottles, glass, and really like attacking to the point where Param Gurudev, he thought that they would kill Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. So he brought him into a house, a local house. Everybody scattered. Everybody ran away, but he grabbed his Gurudev. And when we think about that, everyone was more concerned for their own welfare and their own body and their own life than the life of their Guru. But out of
all of these devotees, all of these disciples, Param Gurudev, he didn't care for his own life, he cared for the life of his guru. And he grabbed him and brought him inside one of the houses nearby, shut the door, and he said, "Give me your cloth," because Param Gurudev...
One of the main reasons that they was preaching so much against the caste brahmanas, they was losing money. People, instead of going to the brahmanas to get weddings, they was going to the Vaishnavas to get weddings. And they was losing popularity, and they was losing also money. And that's what made them really angry.
Thank you. That was a good addition there.
So angry they were willing to kill. So Param Gurudev, he brought Srila Bhaktisiddhanta into this room, and he asked him to give him his cloth because they looked alike. Their faces were very similar, and if you see pictures, actually when I first met Gurudev, I thought they were the same person as well. It's like, why is there two pictures of Bhaktisiddhanta? And so at first, I think Srila Bhaktisiddhanta disagreed, no, don't, but Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj insisted. And so quickly they switched clothes, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was able to leave safely out of there. And some say that at this time he received sannyas by receiving those clothing. And then somehow or other the police came or something, and this mob was disbanded. And so also Param Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, was saved. But this example of willingness to die in seva is very rare. We don't see so often these stories of this type of dedication to Guru. We can speak of myself just struggling to chant my rounds, we speak of throwing myself in harm's way. So today, yesterday and today, I was thinking about this and how my mind struggles with Guru Seva, and I was praying, and I'm praying to all of you for your blessings, that I can come to this point, to be willing to die for my Guru in any way, materially, and give my life in his service. Thank you.
Beautiful prayer at the end, especially. Arjun, we haven't heard from you in such a long time at all these festivals.
You are very fortunate. So today is a very special day. Before I came to Gurudev Sangha, I didn't know who Bhaktivedanta Keshav Goswami Maharaj is, and for so long we didn't know of his what a big contribution to this Guru Parampara he is. I have no idea. We always thought of Prabhupada just self-manifested or something like that, which is also correct, but at the same time there must be some backing up from the old Guru Parampara. So Param Gurudev was such a strong personality. I don't know what, I didn't hear the whole class, but I don't know if you already touched on how like lion his character was. That's what he's called, Bhakti Pragyan Keshava means like the like lion. And so Madhavi Didi just touch on this pastime of how he took the clothes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to protect him from being attacked. And Prabhu was saying because of the caste Brahmins, but so many other things too. For example, there was a big controversy of where the caste Brahmins were against where Mayapur, Jogapith is actually. Jogapith is the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. So they thought the Brahman caste things of Yogapith is like the other side of the Ganga, which is in Navadvip, and then because of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he discovered Yogapith actually, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established Yogapith there. So that was a big thing. there's so much money coming in, and that's why another thing why they were against him, because that was the income also. Of course, and so that was such a astonishing pastime of how he protected his own Gurudev with his own life. He didn't care about his own self. Param Gurudev. Then by reading about Param Gurudev and hearing from Gurudev about his guru, how he was so strong, like I said before, so strong. For example, I'm trying to remember this pastime that I heard. Actually, Achyutananda Prabhu, he is actually one of the only Western disciples that met Param Gurudev. Achyutananda Prabhu, you know Achyutananda Prabhu, he's a Srila Prabhupada disciple. He was sent by Srila Prabhupada to India, and when he got there, he asked, "Where's the Gaudiya Mat?" Somebody told him, when you got to the train, you stop in Mathura, and then you say, "Where's the Gaudiya Mat? I want to go to Gaudiya Mat." So the rickshawala took him to the Gaudiya Mat, and then when he arrived there, he said that actually Srila Gurudev greeted him and took him to Param Gurudev's room, and then he said at that moment understood that there was not just one Bhaktivedanta, there was many Bhaktivedantas. He said that and then he met Param Gurudev, and Param Gurudev was already on his Sikh Lila. He was leaving this world in Samadhi, so he was laying down there, and then Achyutananda Prabhu approached him, and Param Gurudev said, if I recall, he said, there's two types of sounds. He said, there is material sound, there's Vaikuntha sounds. He said, Vaikuntha sounds will take you up to the spiritual world, and the material sounds will entangle you here in this world. But he said that Param Gurudev was so beautiful, very tall, very fair, just laying down there. He said he never thought Indians could get that tall because he was very, very, very tall. He said, and he was so beautiful. His face was very, very beautiful. And also, before Param Gurudev took sannyas, he would in Mayapur he would ride in a horse with a sword, and he will, because he was like the guard of the Gaudiya Mat, pretty much. He will have a sword with him and then a white horse, and he will run around because the Muslims will always be attacking, or the Brahmin caste will always be attacking. So he was very, very strong like that. And he was respected by all his God brothers. Anything that they had any questions about any Siddhanta or anything that the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was preaching, they will come to him, because he will remember everything that his Gurudev will say. And the Usman Didi, how he gave sannyas to Srila Prabhupada so much. So, like I said before I met Srila Gurudev, I didn't know who Bhakti Prem Keshav Goswami Maharaj Param Gurudev was. But then I got to know that he was the one that gave sannyas to our Srila Prabhupada. And that was wow, I had no idea about that. And then Gurudev was the one who performed the sacrifice. And that was even more amazing. It was just, that I felt so much connection to him. And we see how Srila Prabhupada writes those letters on the disappearance day of Bhakti Prem Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and how much love our Srila Prabhupada had for him, that he says that my Gurudev has come in the form of this God brother to force me to take sannyas, because Srila Prabhupada did not want to take sannyas, but it was forcefully put on his Bhakti Prem Keshav Goswami Maharaj, because actually of Gurudev telling Param Gurudev, the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given you this order, you should take it, you should do it now. And Srila Prabhupada, took about 11 years or more? How many years since Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur gave that order? More, right? Like 30 something at least. It was 19,
something.
Well, he left in 36, but then he appeared to Prabhupada a few times in a
23.
dream.
Yeah,
23 is
23 years
before he took sannyas.
before he took sannyas. Yeah. So
22 and a half.
so we can see the importance of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj for the Western world also, because he's the one who actually gave Swami Maharaj the reminder, you should go and do this again. You should take sannyas and preach in the West. So we are indebted to him for giving us our Srila Prabhupada coming here, of course for giving us our Gurudev, because without him then we wouldn't know who Param Gurudev is. So I just wanted to make a little offering and pray at his lotus feet to please always keep me the lotus feet of our Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas trying to glorify him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that beautiful glorification, Pushpanjali. Pushpanjali is the offering of our flower-like heart. When we offer the flowers, which we will later in the bhajan, Jaya Jaya Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, Arati, we offer flowers. And those flowers represent our flower-like heart. So when we speak, like Madhavi and Arjun Prabhu and Vasanti were speaking, they were offering Pushpanjali, the flower of their heart, in the form of glorification. Since Arjun Prabhu mentioned our Prabhupada, and that he would glorify Param Gurudev, and especially when he heard about his disappearance back in 1968. We only had a few temples then. So Prabhupada wrote a whole condolence letter, and also he wrote a verse which was inspired by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's verse in glorification of Srila Sanatana Goswami, how he, as Arjun mentioned, how he forced me to take sannyas. I was unwilling to do so, so he forced me to drink the bhakti laced with renunciation. And he's an ocean of mercy, so I offer my pranam to him. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a verse based on that to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And then we had a few centers at that time. New York, San Francisco, Hawaii, no, that came a little later. But he had us all sign the condolence letter, all the disciples. So on behalf of my disciples, I'm writing this, and we all signed it in those days. Also, he wrote a letter to Srila Gurudev that if you send me his photograph, then I will have my artist paint a picture of him, and we will add him to our parampara of our temples, because at the very beginning I was the only artist. So I painted a picture of Prabhupada and his Prabhupada and Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So Prabhupada wrote that if you send me a picture, I want to add him. But it actually wasn't the time that we were destined to get to know him then. So that never happened. But looking back now, seeing that letter, we can see that he was planting the seed for Param Gurudev to become famous in his own Sangha, which he is now. Now his pictures are everywhere, all over the world in Prabhupada's Sangha. Did you want to say something, Dinabandhu Prabhu?
I would like to say
come
one
here.
thing about Srila Prabhupada.
Come here. And Vedanta Sutra Prabhu, would you like to speak some?
Sure.
Okay. And Indupati Prabhu, can you turn the... Huh?
I mean, I heard online.
Another couple of
Okay.
Gaurve Gaurachandaya Garika Pitana Krishna Krishna Bhakta Bhakta Again to Vedanta Siddhananda Sanatya Chakshur Miltam Tasma Shri Namo So on the auspicious appearance day of my Parama Guru Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, I'd just like to reiterate one of his childhood pastimes that I haven't heard anyone tell yet. His mother put him out in the sun. It was very typical for Bengali women to rub their baby with mustard oil and leave them in the sun. It gets the body nice and warm and makes sure that you can't get sick. At that time, when the baby was sitting out in the sun, rubbed with mustard oil, an eagle came and snatched him and flew off. And you can imagine his mother and his aunt and the whole village was absolutely mortified. And at that moment, his mother began to pray to God, to Vishnu, saying that if you give him back, I promise you can have him. Everyone knows that Srila Parama Guru joined the monk when he was a young boy, so she was good on her word. That eagle, which the village, being all Vaishnavas, had understood to be a sign from God. God has taken him. And so the eagle dropped the baby and he landed in a pond on lotus leaves. A very soft landing. I've got to go back to the kitchen, so I think that's probably about it. But this very astonishing pastime of his. I guess more than that, we can say that.
Want to tell about when he was a young schoolboy, since you're in his youth, and he was late?
No, my mind is distracted by the kitchen, but yeah, I've got fires burning, so anyway.
It's 5, it's hot.
Thank you. Very mystical history. Would anybody like to relate? Vedanta Sutra? Please. One moment. TV.
I heard one story when I'm trying. I heard one story when our Srila Prabhupada left Grihastha life. He went to Vrindavan. He was staying with Sridhar Maharaj. So once our Guru, Param Gurudev, went to Vrindavan, to Radha Damodar, and he saw Srila Prabhupada there. Param Gurudev saw our Prabhupada Bhaicharan Prabhu at that time, and he told Gurudev, you bring him with us to Mathura. And that's how the relationship started. I mean, they had a relationship way before that, but that's how he came to live to Vrindavan, to stay with him in Mathura for some time. I don't know. I don't remember the details of the story.
You mean when he left his family?
Yes, after he left his family, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So many angles coming in. Anything else? Or you'll just let us know?
Okay.
Okay. You just interrupted any time.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about the interruption.
No, it's good. It's not an interruption. I used the wrong word. Whenever you're inspired to speak, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
So, Gurudev told me to paint him. You know, he's one of the 4 manjaris, the Nod Manjari. And when I asked Gurudev, can you tell me some prayer that I can say to him as I'm painting to help him come in my heart so that he can come out of my hands onto the canvas. So Gurudev said, he said one prayer that's written by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami to all the manjaris headed by Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari. And if any of you know it, you can say it with me. Tambularpana Paramardanapaya Dhamabhisara Didi Vrindaranya Maheshwarim Priyataya Yasto Sayanti Priya Prana Presta Sakhi Kulara Pikila Sankho Chita Bhumikai Keli Bhumi Surupa Manjari Makas Tadasika Samshvayeham. That means I offer my humble obeisances to all the maidservants of Srimati Radhika, headed by Sri Rupa Manjari. They are always engaged in offering her water for drinking and washing her feet, taking her out on her abhisar at night to meet with Krishna, and they're engaged in so many other services. Even though the Pran Presta Sakhis, like Lalita and Vishaka, who are the most intimate friends of Radhika, they hesitate to go. They will not come into the Kunj unless they're authorized by these manjaris when Radha and Krishna are engaged in their most confidential amorous pastimes. Whereas the manjaris, they have no hesitation, sankochita. They have no hesitation to go into the kunjas. And then if Lalita and Vishaka or any of those most intimate friends of Radhika want to come in the kunj, they will say, is it time yet? And they'd say, let me see. No, you can come back in a little bit, or yes, you can come in now. Because Radharani considers these maidservants as her own body. So that was the prayer that Gurudev gave me for painting Param Gurudev. And another thing that he said as I was painting, he said, make her braid. You know how like if somebody's dancing, their braid swirls around? So make her braid a little swirly and coming up like the hood of a serpent, a snake. It's like, to speak of Radharani, but even when seeing Radharani's maidservant. So they control Krishna in many ways. They can lie to him also and make him almost faint. Oh, Radharani can't come out today, her mother-in-law kept her in. Then Krishna's almost ready to faint. Oh, I was just kidding, she'll be here soon. So they have so much power. Vedanta Sutra Prabhu, are you ready to say something? Would you like to say something?
Sure.
Okay. Or maybe you can also share about when he was a schoolboy and he came late.
Yeah.
But loud into the mic.
Namo Vishnupadaya Acharya Simha Rupane Sisme Bhakti Pragnam Keshaviti Namane Rati Martya Charitraya Shrashritanam Chapalane Jiva Dukke Sadatraya Sri Nama Prema Dayane Gorashraya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaika Charane Rupanuga Prabharaya Vinodi Te Swarupane Prabhupadan Tarangaya Sarva Sadguna Salane Mayavada Tamo Gunya Vedan Tarta Vede Namaha.
English?
Take up all my time. I offer pranam to the lion-like Acharya, Om Vishnupad Sri Sriman Bhakti Pragam Keshava Goswami Maharaj, Param Gurudev. His character and activities are transcendental to the modes of nature, and he protects and nourishes those who take shelter of him. He is always aggrieved to see the suffering of the living entities, and he bestows love for Sri Nam. He is the shelter of love for Gauranga, and his every action is solely to fulfill the desires of Sri Krishna. He is best among the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami in his internal addiction. The Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and he is enjoined with all auspicious qualities. He eradicates the darkness of Mayavad and reveals the true meaning of Vedanta. I offer pranam to him. Do you know who composed these verses?
No.
I don't, or anyone knows. So there's one pastime where Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj had come many years early in 1916, into the time when they were both young, around 20. And in the courtyard, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj saw a person dressed in white. And many sannyasis were coming up to him and offering obeisances, and he was answering questions, and just like all this activity going on, and he asked somebody, who is this personality? And so before there was a Chaitanya Math there in Navadvip, there was, it was a Muslim graveyard. And in order to establish the temple there, they had to, that could not be there. So during the nighttime, Vinod Babu, who later became Bhakti Pragnan Keshav Maharaj, he cleared the whole place. He took all the graves out, everything, and spent the whole night. So in the morning,
What did he do?
he
made a whole garden with trees and
yeah,
grass.
he took all the graves out and he planted trees in Tulsi, and it was whereas that in the morning they were able to claim that land for the mob, and the Muslims came and said this was our graveyard, etc. And he said, well, there's no proof of this. When the city managers came, or the personalities who were in charge of the land and permits, etc., come, they said, well, we do not know, we have no proof that this was a graveyard. It has already been planted with these beautiful trees, and so actually this is the property of Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada Chaitanya Math. So in that way, that's how that property how they were able to obtain it by the mercy of Keshav Maharaj and make it about.
Small correction. That place which was the graveyard was the courtyard of Chandrasekhar Bhavan.
Okay.
The Chaitanya Math was already existing at that time.
Oh.
And Param Gurudev was just managing the Math. It says
Because I read, I don't know, I'm just taking this from what I read. So.
yeah, this is from Param Gurudev's biography.
Okay.
Yeah, it says that Vinod Bihari could not tolerate this atrocity, meaning that the graveyard was right next to Jagannath Mishra's Bhavan, because this Chandrasekhar Bhavan is very close to Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. So Vinod Bihari could not tolerate this atrocity, and as Sri Chaitanya Math's manager, he acted fearlessly and boldly, and then the rest of it he told.
Okay, so this is from Srila Gurudev's lecture, Controversy, how different spiritual masters made. So this says from Gurudev's lecture, at that time there was no Sri Chaitanya Math. Instead there were many Muslim graves and Muslim influences. My Guru Maharaj came in the night, took out all the graves and threw them away. And at that same night he planted a large garden of mango trees and flowers. On the next morning, when the Muslims came to do their namas, they exclaimed, "Oh, where is our place?" So I don't.
Well, these were both written by the same person.
So anyway, regardless of the timing, great. And actually, a miracle happened that night at this graveyard next to the temple. was turned into a beautiful oasis of plants on behalf of Srila Prabhupada for his service. Another time, and I don't know specifically if you want to fill in, but you'd asked me to maybe mention that. We know Brahmachari, when he was a teenager, he always was the leader of his friends, and they would always be doing some philanthropic work. And one day, there was an older lady, don't know
She had cholera.
she was very sick, very ill, and him and his associates had gone to take care of her and to cook her prasadam, and that they came back very late. So his mother was very worried and wondering what is going on with this boy. He's supposed to come back, and now it's very late. He still hasn't come back, and so he was.
Money that the parents would give them for their own personal expenses, they would save that and buy medicines for all these suffering people who were sick.
So all he started weeping, and her mind thought, I will never ever chastise this person. I don't know who he is, but
She was very sick.
she dropped her stick and understood his position. Another time, since we're on the same subject of his mother, and of course I don't know if he told this story because it's a very famous story. So at the time when his mother was leaving this world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada had ordered Vinod Brahmachari to go and see his mother because this was the last time.
She was calling him.
Yes.
She actually called for him to come.
Mm-hmm.
And then she told Prabhupada heard that she was calling him. And that's why.
So Prabhupada said, your mother is calling you, you must go. But then he just hid in his room. And so he hid in his room and he never went. He disobeyed that order. And when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada found him still there, he said, oh, you're still here, why did you not go? Your mother is calling you and she's very ill, she could leave. You should be there. And then Bhakti Pradhan Keshava Maharaj, the opportunity that I do not want to go home, because if I go home, my mother will ask me to take charge of the property, and I'll have to say yes, and then I'll be taken away from you. And this would be a great misfortune for my eternal benefit. So he understood the real benefit of life and and his connection, his eternal connection. It's very rare to find such a soul, such an elevated jiva within this material world. Of course, they're coming for pastimes, but also to show us the actual standard of the disciple and the guru. Bhakti Pradhan Keshava Maharaj, Srila Pranam Gurudev Ki Jai.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Thank you for all those pastimes. And would you all like to know the history of how what time is Guru Puja starting?
Maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
Probably late. Everything's a little late.
So, we're going to read from Srila Gurudev's book about Acharya Keshari, the lion-like Acharya. That means the Sampradaya, not exactly a Sampradaya, but the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya as coming through Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his followers. They had no kirtan to sing at the time of Tulsi Parikrama and Tulsi Arti. So some devotees used to sing Krishnadas's Tulsi in Vilas Kunj. Now this one about Vilas Kunj, Deovas, that's the one we sing here, right, every night. And that's the one that our Srila Prabhupada introduced in all the ISKCON temples because he said that. Re, Namo Re, Maye Namo Narayani. This is appropriate for Vaishnavas of the Sri Ramanuja Sampradaya, because in this song, Tulsi Devi is addressed as the queen of Sri Narayan. I forgot the tune of that. Namo Re, Namo Re, Namo Narayani. Tulsi Devi is addressed as the queen of Sri Narayan, or Sri Shalagram, who resides in Vaikuntha. So Sri Gaudiya Vaishnavas worship Sri Vrinda Devi as the most dear Saki of Sri Radha and Krishna. When we were with Srila Gurudev, before we had the Giridhari Gaudiya Mutt in Govardhan, we rented other places, and there Srila Gurudev said, don't think of Vrinda Devi as Maya or Jamuna Maya, Jamuna Devi, the river, who is Vishaka. Don't think of them as Maya. Think of them as Sakis. He said, you only have two mothers. One of your mothers is Jashoda, and one of your mothers is Kirtika. Not them. They're your Sakis. They're Radha's Sakis. We want to be their Sakis. So she's the most dear Saki of Sri Radha Krishna. She's the presiding deity of Sri Vrindavan Dham, the topmost section of Goloka. And she's expert at arranging all of their intimate pastimes. She gave her beautiful land of Vrindavan to her most dear Saki, Vrishabhanunandani Srimati Radhika. So Vrindavan is named after her, Vrinda Devi. And then so we sing, Samasta Vaikuntha Siro Manoshri Krishnasya Vrindavana Tanya Dhami Tadadikare Vrishabhana Pujriya Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam. That is the land of Vrindavan, which is named after Vrinda because she makes everything happen in Vrindavan. The birds sing, which flowers are going to grow, which deers will come out. And so that's her land, and that land is higher than all the Vaikuntha planets. And she gave that land as a donation to Srimati Radhika. So when Krishna was having the Magh quarrel with the gopis, and he was saying that you have stolen all my flowers, you're picking flowers without my authority, you have to give a tax. And they said, look, we planted them all. You're the ones that trample everything down with your cows every day. And anyway, this land belongs to Vrinda. She's our Saki. So Krishna said, yes, but Vrinda is my wife. And so whatever belongs to the wife belongs to the husband. So they said, she would never be your wife. So they called for her and she came. She said, I don't even know who this black person is. I would never, no one in this village of Vrindavan would ever marry any debauchee like him. But it is true that Vrindavan is mine, but I gave it to Srimati Radhika. So she arranges, and in that song that we have, Namo Namo Tulsi Krishna Prayasi, it says that I want to be a maidservant of Vrinda and serve Radha and Krishna under her guidance. So sometimes she orders the manjaris what to do and what drinks to make and things like that. So she gave her beautiful land to Vrindavan, to Prakash of Vrinda Devi, the expansion. The original Vrinda Devi can never be the queen of Narayan or of Sri Shalagram. Thus, Gaudiya Vaishnavas worship her in the form of could offer at the time of parikrama and arati. They accept that Sri Radha and Krishna and Gaur Hari as one non-dual paratattva. We were just singing that Astakam, Radha Vinod Bihari Astakam, that Param Gurudev wrote, which is full of the Tattva Siddhanta, of the non-difference between Krishna and Gaur. So, in that mood, this kirtan of Tulsi is mostly a glorification of Gaur, who later people, by worshipping Gaur, people will become devotee of Radha and Krishna. So the whole of the Saraswat Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that means those in the line of Srila Prabhupada, has accepted this prayer, which is complete in all respects and brimming with philosophical conclusions. So the English is, first of all, obeisances are offered to Sri Tulsi, or Vrindadevi, as the beloved of Krishna. She has been described as a very compassionate Saki who bestows the eternal service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna Jugal. To those who take shelter of you, you kindly award Krishna Seva and the fortune of eternal residence in Vrindavan. Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur has glorified Srimati Vrindadevi as in his Vrindadevi Astakam, also that no one can even enter the rasa dance without the mercy of Vrinda. So then verse number 3, Srila Gurudev continues, meaning Param Gurudev, his Arti Kirtan. O Vrinda, we pray at your lotus feet again and again. Please give us your guidance and bestow upon us the service of Sri Gaura Hari, who is Sri Krishna himself, endowed with the eternal mood and effulgent luster of Srimati Radhika, so that we may be immersed day and night in that service. Someone may raise the question, Tulsi is the beloved of Sri Krishna, and she can bestow Krishna Seva. How then can she give the service of Satchidananda Gaura Hari? The answer is she can, because they are Abhina Padatattva, which means non-different, absolute truth. The Lord of all pastimes, Leela Purushottama Sri Krishna, is Rasik Shekhar. We were just singing that just a few minutes ago. The enjoyer of the topmost mellows, and Padma Karun, supremely merciful. He adopts the mood and complexion of Radhika and appears as Gaurahari. Almost all the associates of Radha and Krishna appeared as associates of Gaurahari in different forms. So Vrinda Devi, how did she appear? She appeared as the Tulsi tree to make Krishna Bhakti more easily attainable, of her leaf on each preparation. Sri Advaita Acharya, who is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, adopted the easiest and most effective process to entreat Krishna to come to this world, which is that what? He offered some Ganges water and Tulsi leaves, and then by his prayer, Lord Narayan's throne shook. Verse 4, O Vrinda, O beloved of Krishna, I repeatedly bow down to your lotus feet. Please be merciful to this insignificant and destitute soul who has surrendered to you, and allow me to reside in Sri Vrindavan. Then I will be able to smear the dust of the transcendental abodes all over my body, and maddened with prema, I will sing the names of Sri Gaura Hari and Krishna. Is it time yet?
Not yet.
Huh? Oh, is that him doing it?
No,
He's-
in 2 minutes we should be congregating Bharati.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Okay. Verse 5, O Tulsi. So we want Vrindavan, don't we? So we know where to go. O Tulsi Devi, beloved of Krishna, I have collected the 16 items of worship, such as incense, a lamp, flowers, naivaidya means boga, to perform your arti. And with them I'm affectionately performing your arti. At the same time I'm glorifying you with Sankirtan. You are Sri Krishna's pastime potency, his lila shakti, and you are most dear to him. You are capable of giving prema bhakti for Sri Gaura Hari and the divine couple. So it goes on. And then of course you know that he wrote our Mangal Arti song, which is full with all the pastimes in Ujjvala Nilamani, Gita Govinda, everything is there in his Mangal Arti song, which he is singing. He says Keshava, the lowly Keshava, is offering this arti, but he's meditating that what? That actually Lalita and Vishaka are offering the Mangal Arti. So we're learning so many deep siddhantas and so many deep pastimes. As you know, he was very Tattvagyan, like Prabhupada, but Gurudev explained how he's also very rasic, because one time Gurudev told him, we see that Srila Jiva Goswami is such a Tattvajnani in all of his 6 sandarbhas, so much intricate, scholastic, philosophical concepts. But at the same time, we see that he wrote Gopal Champu, which has the pastimes of baby Krishna, Radha and Krishna, so many beautiful pastimes. And so when he was telling Param Gurudev about the story of Damodar Leela, and how Mother Yasoda was weeping when Krishna wouldn't speak to her after the trees fell down, and he would only be with Nanda Baba. You all know that pastime. He said, when I was telling that to my Gurudev, he burst out wailing uncontrollably. So, Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Param Gurudev Ki Jai. Param Gurudev Abhirbhav Titi Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai. So now we're going to sing his arati, which is on page 226 of the songbook. And Srila Gurudev always taught, all these acharyas are there on the altar in front of you. So we first offer the flowers to our own Diksha Gurudev, and then nearest Shiksha Guru, and then go up the line. Param Gurudev and everybody else.
Syamarani.
Yes.
We in our Sangha at night we always chant the Tulsi Bhakti Prankeshwar Maharaj's Tulsi song. Over there they sing Prabhupada song.
Over where?
We don't sing the thing.
You sing the...
Bhakti Prankeshwar Maharaj, we sing his song at night here in the
Oh, at night, I see, because we sing it in the morning.
No,
We
we sing it at
Evening.
night.
Night.
We don't sing that whenever.
What he's saying is that
Oh, we sing Jai Radhe Jai Krishna. We do sing Param Gurudev. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Thank
At
you.
ISKCON they sing that.
Yes, thank you.
Here we sing
Thank you, thank you,
Bhakti
thank you.
Prankeshwar.
Thank you. So, Vedanta Sutra Prabhu kindly corrected me, and I remember Sri Bhakti Dwait Manu Goswami Maharaj's statements, which we sent to all our WhatsApp people yesterday, that anybody who praises me is actually hurting me, and I don't want their association as much as I want the association of those who will always correct me. So thank you for that. So here at this temple we do sing Param Gurudev's Tulsi Arati at night.
I didn't mean to correct you, just say we're glorifying Krishna.
You corrected me and I appreciate that.
We're just saying we honor him by singing his.
You're absolutely right, and I don't go at night, and that's why I get strong.
It's not correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Page 226.
Page 226.
What's the first line?
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
His name is Vrindavan. No, his name is- he's gonna be a Buddha.
To Param Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
What page is it?
226.
Jaya Jaya.
wants to do
To what page? 26.
From Gurudev ki Gurudev ki Jaya Jaya Guru Deva Shri Bhakti Pragyana Paramohana Rupa Ata Vimochana Jaya Jaya Guru Deva
sure you gotta go in with your creed. There's such a long to go to your creed there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was looking for that. Okay. Got both.
Yeah.
Put the sign up for it.
Aku
Madhava
Hare Krishna भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गौर किशोर दास गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। सच्चिदानंद श्री भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबू जी महाराज की जय। श्री बाबू ब्रजभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री नरोत्तम श्रीनिवास आनंद प्रभुताई की जय। श्री कृष्ण दास कवराज गोसाई पाद की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भक्त रघुनाथ श्री जी गोपाल भक्त दास रघुनाथ प्रभु की जय। श्री कमला रघुनाथ हरि गोपाल श्री नाथ ठाकुर की जय। पंच घोष श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री राधा शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री गौरी धाम वृंदावन धाम नीलाचल धाम की जय। जगोपी मायापुर की जय। गंगा की जय। तुलसी महारानी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ प्रभु सुभद्र सुदर्शन चक्र की जय। श्री निशिंग भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री बड़ादेव की जय। श्री गणितानंद भोग की जय। वीराज महाराज की जय। आहा समकुंड की जय। गमना देवी की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। किशोर किशोरी जी की जय। समागत भक्त वृंदी की जय। गीताय गो जय गो प्रभु। श्री आचार्य के श्री भक्ति प्रज्ञान के श्री गोस्वामी महाराज श्री अवतार की महोत्सव की जय। महामहोत्सव की जय। महामहोत्सव की जय। आज के आनंद की जय। महामहोत्सव की जय।
The famous preacher.